Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Radha Govinda ki, Radha Gopinath ki, Gaura Premanande. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Shtotrashata Srimad ki Jai Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotional Service. Verse 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Tataschobayato data. Tataschobayato data. Tesham bahupadasristas. Tesham bahupadasristas. Chatushpada tatodvipat. Chatushpada tatodvipat. Rupa Beda Vidastatra. Tataschobayato data. Tesham bahupadasristas. Chatushpadastato dvipat. Rupa Beda Vidastatra. Tataschobayato data.
Tesham Bahupadasristas.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra. Tataschobayato data. Yesham bahupadashrishtas. Chatuspadastato dvipat.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Tataschobayato dataha.
Tataschobayato data.
Shambhavupadashrishtas. Chatuspadastato dvipat.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Tesham Bahupadashrishtas. Chatuspadastato dvipat.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Tesham Bahupadashrishtas. Chatuspadastato dvipat.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Rupa Beda Vidastatra.
Tataschobayato dataha.
Tataschobayato dataha.
Tesham bahupadashrishtas.
Tesham Bahupadashrishtas.
Chatuspadastato dvipat.
Chatuspadastato dvipat.
Rupa Beda.
Rupa Beda.
Distinctions of form.
Distinctions of form.
Vida.
Vida.
Those who perceive.
Those who perceive.
Tatra.
Tatra.
Then them.
Then them.
Tata.
Tataha.
Then them.
Then them.
Cha.
Cha.
And. Obayata.
Obayata.
In both jaws.
Both jaws.
Data.
Dataha.
Those with teeth.
Those with teeth.
Tesham.
Tesham.
Of them.
Of them.
Bahupada.
Bahupada.
Those who have many legs.
Those with many legs.
Shrestha.
Shrestha.
Better.
Better.
Chatupada.
Chatupada.
four-legged,
four-legged,
tatha,
tata,
then them,
them,
dvipat,
vipat,
two-legged.
two-legged.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth. And better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds. And better still are the human beings. Purport. It is said that certain birds, such as crows, can distinguish one form from another. Living entities that have many legs, like the wasps, are better than plants and grasses, which have no legs. Four-legged animals are better than many-legged living entities, and better than the animals is the human being, who has only two legs. One more time the verse. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth, and better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds, and better still are the human beings. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we are eternal living entities and we are meant to be together with Krishna in the spiritual world, having fun there. But for one reason or another, we decided to become envious of Krishna. We wanted to take his place. We wanted to enjoy as much as he is enjoying. We want to be the central figure in all the pastimes. And then for this reason, Krishna said, well, you know, here in the spiritual world there is only one person who is in the center, and that's me. That's why I'll make another spiritual world for you, and you can go there, and there you can be the boss. And here we go, we are now here in this material world, and coming here, first the living entity takes the position of Lord Brahma. And then still he is very much into the mood of service of the Lord, meaning the first desire of the living entity is reasonably pure. The living entity thinks, okay, my dear Lord, I just want to serve you, but I want to serve you in a very specific way, the way how I want to serve you. So that's already part of the degradation of the living entity, because in the complete spiritual world, there is only uncontaminated, unconditional desire for pure devotional service. So the living entity comes and he takes the position of Lord Brahma and serves the Supreme Lord for quite some time. And then the question is if this living entity can keep his purity after this one lifetime of service in this material world, can go back home, back to Krishna. But if not, if he cannot do that, then he has to degrade even more. And he takes the position of a great demigod. And after keeping this position for a while, if the living entity does not improve his consciousness and his devotional service, it degrades even more. And then it can take all kinds of forms between these 8,400,000 different species of life, according to his consciousness and according to his desire. And then when the end of the material world comes, the living entities, they go back to Vishnu, back to the body of the Lord, Mahavishnu, and then when the next creation comes, they appear again, and according to the desires they had unfulfilled from their previous existence, and according to the level of their consciousness, they take a particular form. And now here we are getting gradation of all these forms. Basically, the forms, when one form gives you more opportunity for sense gratification, is considered higher. If the form has more senses and the senses are more developed, it means it's a higher form. It gives opportunity for higher consciousness to function within this form. Like some living entities, they can only hear, okay, that's some kind of consciousness, or they can only touch, like they have these two antennas here. They're just touching what is the reality. Then better than these living entities are the living entities that they can see forms. This is even more developed consciousness. And better than these are the living entities that can also taste. That's even better, higher consciousness. So in this way, according to the level of consciousness, one gets a different form. And then here in this verse we are hearing that human form, it's the most developed from all these forms because it gives opportunity for a higher level of consciousness to appear. And in the later verses we will hear how from the human beings, those who are leading a civilized life, these are higher. What does it mean, civilized life? It means you know what is your duty in life and you perform some duty to benefit yourself, to purify yourself, and to help the society to function in a proper way. Like for example, if we see the society of dogs, it is not that like each dog knows what's exactly his duty and how he is benefiting the society of dogs as a whole. No, each dog just wants to live their life. Find something to eat, fill the belly, lie down a little bit, then go again for a second tour, and that's it. And life is perfect. And when the winter comes, okay, find a place to survive the cold, and then life is perfect. So those human beings who know what is their duty and they are acting according to rules and regulations, they have higher consciousness. Higher than even this is someone who studied the Vedas. So he has knowledge, what is proper, what is not proper, how to live your life. Higher than even this is someone who becomes very learned in the knowledge of the Vedas. Higher than this is someone who can put in practice this knowledge. So in this way, gradually we will hear how devotee of the Lord is the greatest personality. So that means his consciousness is the most developed. Better than the civilized human beings, better than the Brahmana, better than the Vipra. What is the difference between Brahmana and Vipra? Who can tell me? What is, okay, who is higher? Vipra or Brahmana? Brahmana here means Dvija, twice born. Oh, you have two options. Try to guess and let's see.
What is Vipra?
What is Vipra? Janmana jayate Shudra, Samskaraddi bhaved dvija, Vedapatat bhaved Vipro, Brahma janatiti Brahmana. When someone is born as a human being, he is by nature Shudra. If he goes to purificatory processes like samskaras, means you go through purification and certain rituals in your life, you become dvija, twice born. Then if someone studies properly the Vedas, he becomes Vipra, learned person. But then if he managed to realize the knowledge that he studied, he is known as Brahmana. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. Those who know Brahman, they are known as Brahmanas. And then Vaishnava is even higher than this. Vaishnava is even higher than a Brahmana. Why? Because Brahmana, he knows only Brahman aspect of the Lord. But a Vaishnava, he knows all three aspects of the Lord. So he is even Brahma, higher than this. His consciousness is the most developed. All these kind of personalities, although with very developed consciousness, still predominantly their life is selfish. They can live for the society, but still the main thing in their consciousness is what is there for me. What I'm going to get out of all this. Now a Vaishnava is supposed to have even higher consciousness. A Vaishnava, he's thinking more and more about others. He wants to do something more about others. And we call this, how do we call this, Bhaktaran? Yeah, we call it compassion, correct. Compassion means you are ready to sacrifice your comfort to do something good for others, to benefit others. And actually, if you think about it, a human life is meant for sacrifice. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, without a sacrifice, without yagya, one cannot be happy neither in this life nor in the next. So the door for being happy, the door to happiness is doing something for the benefit of others and not wanting anything in return. Nowadays many people are doing something for others, but what is their motivation? Why they are doing it? Yeah, they want to get something for themselves. We are like welfare organization. We are doing so many things. We are feeding the poor people in Africa, and we are helping to the people suffering from this earthquake and that tsunami and this, that. But actually the money they collect, 10, 20% maybe, okay, 30, go for these people. What about the rest of the money? They go somewhere into the institution and this, that, and we have to like, whatever, do that and this. So at the end of the day, it's selfish. Okay, it can be a nice work, you're doing something for others, but at the end of the day, it is still selfish. You're thinking about yourself. Now, spiritual life begins when you start thinking more about others. This is the beginning of spiritual life. More for others, more for Krishna, and less for me. Or in other words, you are ready to give up your false ego, false identity of I am this material body, and everything that I do is actually meant to help me to enjoy my senses, enjoy my body. And this is the idea of Dharma. Like in the Vedic system we have this idea of Dharma. Dharma means you are ready to sacrifice your life for the benefit of others. How can we translate the word Dharma? Give me some suggestions. Occupation. Okay. Duty. Okay, that's my duty.
Moral responsibility.
Moral responsibility. Okay, I like it.
Essential nature of a thing.
Essential nature of something, Okay, yes. Okay, very good. Something else? Okay, oh, very, very nice explanations. Yes, Dharma means you are doing something because that's your place in the universe and in the society, and the result may be good or not, it doesn't matter, still this is what you have to do. We have so many examples, like in the Vedas. All these examples were given to show how if someone is following their Dharma, it doesn't matter if short-term they receive good results, their long-term result will be always good, always beneficial. And that's why we have all these amazing stories of like great kings that sacrifice their life for the benefits of others, like we were listening the story about Rantidev from Bhāgavatam, or Maharaja Shibi, so many others from Mahabharata. Like, we have even the example of like Karna. Karna, he was born with this natural shield on his body. And Indra just went to him and said, I want this. Please give it to me as a charity. And he didn't thought, like even for a moment. Immediately he said, yes, this is my duty, I have to do it. Immediately removed it. He had to cut it from his body because it was one with his body. What kind of personalities? But he knows, if I do this, all auspiciousness is waiting for me. So what is the difference between Dharma, meaning you're doing what you're supposed to do, even if it looks like the result may not be great in the beginning, and the mundane morality? What is the difference?
Usually mundane morality comes from mental speculation, whereas Dharma is given by Vedic authority.
Usually, mundane morality is coming from mental speculation, whereas Dharma is given from authority. Okay, yes, we can take it in this way. Mundane morality is something that we decide it's important, it's good for others. It may be, it may not be, but we don't know. Okay, yeah, that's definitely there. There is even more subtle difference between these two. Like in the Vedic concept, sometimes we have these two ideas about Dharma, is one idea, and the other idea is Niti. Have you heard about Niti? Have you heard about Niti Shastra? Who wrote one very famous Niti Shastra? Srila Prabhupada is quoting many verses from him. Who? Yes, Chanakya Pandit. Have you heard about Chanakya Pandit? He is like very famous and author of famous Niti Shastra. So, Dharma means you know what is your duty and you're doing it. And you know at the end you are satisfying the Lord with this, but materially you may gain, you may not gain. Now Niti is you are going to follow the same Dharma, the same duty that you have. But you are going to follow it only when you know it will benefit you materially. So, if some situation will benefit you materially, you are going to do it and you say, I have to do my Dharma, this is so important, this, that. But then in the next moment, if you know that actually you won't be benefited materially, you may avoid doing your Dharma. So in other words, you choose when to do your Dharma and when not to do your Dharma. And like, who is a good example of this? Can you give me some example? Someone who's rather acting in a Niti way than Dharma way. Let's see now. Kamsa, Duryodhana, okay, yes, good examples. Yeah, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, there was some arrangement. But yeah, definitely examples are given with these great demons, who are actually great kings, like Duryodhana, Kamsa. Duryodhana, for example, he was known as a very good king. Like we don't find somewhere descriptions that like people from his kingdom, they were complaining, oh, he is not ruling the kingdom nice. No, he was doing his duties very nicely. But from time to time, he was deciding if he has to do something or not, according to if there will be benefit for him or not. Kamsa the same. Kamsa, he was known as like great king, was giving lots of charity, many things. But then at the end, he would decide what to do, how to act, if it's beneficial for him or not. Jarasandha also. And what is the main proof? They were ready to attack Krishna, which is against all kind of dharma. Where is the dharma that supports that you can go and try to kill the Lord? So they were apparently following dharma, but actually not really, because they were missing the whole point of dharma. So this is the difference between dharma and niti. Dharma means you know what is the real religious principle and you're going to do it. Niti means you do it sometimes if you have some benefit out of it. If not, then you're not going to do it. So like that, this is the idea. A real human being, he is going to act according to dharma and he is going to sacrifice his life. And we see Srila Prabhupada, he came, he said, sacrifice his whole life for the benefit of the Western people. There are so many spiritualists who sacrifice their life for the people. But where? Only in Bharatavarsha. They were very afraid to cross the ocean. Nobody was daring to cross the ocean. Why? Because Shastra is saying, if you're a sannyasi, you should not cross the ocean. Stay in Bharatavarsha. It's better for you. It's more safe position. Srila Prabhupada, he was ready to take the risk. Why? To benefit all these living entities and mainly to try to satisfy his spiritual master. His spiritual master taught him, you have to do this is your mission, and he did it. So in the same way, we should try in our life, in our spiritual life, to get a guru and to find out from our guru what is our mission, what he wants us to do, and try to do it to satisfy him. This will be our sacrifice in life. As Srila Prabhupada is saying, when he read the purport of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to this famous verse from Bhagavad Gita 240, Vyavasayatmika budhira keha kur nandana. Srila Prabhupada read, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing, the desire of the spiritual master should become life and soul for the disciple. And Srila Prabhupada said he got lots of enthusiasm from this. And actually he built his spiritual life on the base of this idea. That's the most important thing in spiritual life. To understand what is the desire of the spiritual master, and the disciple should use his whole energy to fulfill that. Like there is one very famous lecture of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is saying, I was on Radhakund with my spiritual master, and he told me, since we got this temple on Bagh Bazar, my disciples, they are constantly quarreling. Which one is going to occupy which room? If I had the opportunity, I would like to take off the marble from this temple and sell it, and with the money to print books. And I heard him, he told me personally, Srila Prabhupada is saying, if you ever get money, print books. That's why I'm stressing so much on this point. Where is the book? Where is the book? Where is the book? And Srila Prabhupada is saying, so kindly help me. Print as many books as you can and distribute them all over the world. And in this way, the Krishna consciousness movement will automatically increase. So that's why Srila Prabhupada took it so deeply. My Guru Maharaj is fond of printing books. Okay, let me do something about it. And then he did something much above the expectations of anybody and everybody. Like, what was the instruction Srila Prabhupada got from his spiritual master on their first meeting?
Read to Westerners in English?
Yes. You have to make this message, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, available in English for the English-speaking people. What did Srila Prabhupada do? He could just come here and do the job. Okay, relax. Mayapur Vrindavan. Let's go to enjoy. No. He expanded so much the mission actually. He did much more than his spiritual master told him. How many languages? 60 something, 70 languages maybe. And more and more and more. So this is a first-class disciple. He even doesn't wait for his guru to tell him what to do. Already by the speech of the spiritual master, he understands, oh, actually my Guru Maharaj will be very, very, very happy if I can do this for him. And he's doing it immediately. Then, okay, another level is your Guru Maharaj is telling you, please do this, and then very eagerly you go and you do it. Then another level is you get the instruction and you are not sure about that. Is it what I want to do whole my life? Maybe a little bit. Okay, I'll sacrifice a few months. Okay, 3 months. 3 months. I was thinking about 1 month, but okay, 3 months I'll sacrifice. But after that, time is my time and I can do with it whatever I like. So that's another level. And then even one level lower is you get the instruction from your spiritual master, you don't have any idea to even try to fulfill it. You just say, okay, that's too much for me. Of course, if a disciple gets instruction from his guru, he can always go back to the guru if the instruction is too hard for him. And the spiritual master is very merciful. He will immediately give him something else. Like if you get the shoes which are too tight for you, you can try wearing them, but after like few days or months you can realize, oh, it's really heavy. But then, okay, go back to your spiritual master and tell him, it's really difficult for me. And then he will adjust his instruction. That's okay. That's no problem. But the point is, a disciple should make the desire of spiritual master his life and his goal. And then everything will be very, very easy. His advancement in spiritual life will be very easy. Also, sometimes we get this idea that success means you hear the instruction of the spiritual master and now you have to do something amazing. And yes, if you can do that, it's perfect. But even if you cannot, if you just try your best to fulfill the desire of your spiritual master, that's already perfect. This is actually the real perfection in life. What we were speaking, you are acting according to your dharma. Your dharma is being a disciple of your guru, and he gave you, he expressed his desire, and you are giving your best to fulfill it. Cannot get better than this. Do you remember this famous story? Lord Chaitanya met this Brahmana in South India. And Lord Chaitanya saw he's reading, he's trying to read Bhagavad Gita, but apparently he could figure it out, he cannot. And still he is staying there and he is trying to read. And it was very amazing scene. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Brahmana, I see you are really trying to read this Bhagavad Gita, but I see actually you are illiterate, you cannot read." I don't know, maybe the Brahmana was holding Bhagavad Gita the other way around. So, how is that? And the Brahmana said, "Well, my spiritual master told me every day I have to read the whole Bhagavad Gita. And I'm trying, but I cannot read, but still I'm trying." And Lord Chaitanya said, "But then why you are crying? I see you have tears in your eyes. Why you are crying?" And then the Brahmana said, "Well, every time when I take Bhagavad Gita and I try to read, immediately an image is coming in front of my mind. What is that? I see how Krishna is driving the chariot of Arjuna. And I cannot understand how it is possible. The Supreme Lord, who is the Supreme Controller and everyone else is His servant, He is becoming the servant of His devotee. I cannot understand that. How is this possible?" That means Lord is so dependent on His devotee, on the love of His devotee. So when Lord Chaitanya heard this explanation, he said, "My dear Brahmana, you are first class reader of Bhagavad Gita. This is the perfection of reading Bhagavad Gita." So anyway, we were speaking about the point that it's not enough just to be born in a human form of life. Rather, we have to appreciate this opportunity, and then we have to really take it seriously. Understand the proper knowledge, and then apply this knowledge, and then realize this knowledge. And what is the perfection of realization of this knowledge? Practical service to Krishna. If someone is practically doing something for Krishna, that means he is already better than all the Dvijas, all the Vipras and all the Brahmanas. He is a Vaishnava, a great Vaishnava who is practically serving the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your time. Any questions? Yes, Sitaram Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And you were talking about Dharma.
About what?
Dharma.
Dharma.
Dharma. And we have heard that the Dharma of water is to be wet, or the Dharma of the sugar is to be sweet. It's like inseparable. Then you said about Kamsa and Jarasandha. So I was thinking about these two great personalities, and their duty, it was inseparable, that they couldn't perform another function. Their function was just that they were cursed to be, they accepted that they would take birth as demons. So they couldn't not function other than being demons. So how will you explain that inseparable function as being a demon? As I would want to know, it's like they couldn't stop being demons. It was inseparable. Like, it was like their dharma also. And how could I understand that type of dharma? Because they are serving Lord also.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Well, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that there are 4 kinds of people that never surrender to Him. Muda, Naradama, Maya Pakrita Jnana, and Asurim Bhavam Ashritaha. So the 4th kind, these are people who are accepting the atheistic and demoniac nature. Now, it doesn't mean that they are demons spiritually. Spiritually, they are also eternal servants of God, of Krishna. but their material nature is very not helpful to do service for Krishna. This is not their dharma, but this is their conditioning. Their dharma is their material dharma. Let's say, for example, in these cases, Kamsa, Jarasandra, they were kings, so they were perfectly performing their dharma as a kings, but two big problems. One problem is, in some situations we can see actually they were not performing dharma, they were performing niti. Why? Because in certain situations they were changing dharma according to their benefit. The law of dharma, you can take it this way and you can take it that way, because it's very difficult to ascertain what is the law of dharma. So sometimes when it was not good for them, suddenly they would change the law of dharma. So that was the problem following their material dharma. Now what was the biggest problem? Well, the biggest problem is that they don't want to accept their eternal dharma, which is Jivara Swarupa Hoya, Krishnera Nitya Das. They don't want to accept this. They don't want to accept that, okay, I'm actually part and parcel of Krishna and I have to serve the Lord with love and devotion. They actually said, never, I will never serve you, Krishna. So that's the main problem, why they are in this situation. Being conditioning so much from this demoniac mentality, demoniac nature. But even on a material plan, we can see, although some of them are great examples of dharma, sometimes, in some situations, actually need to take over dharma. Only someone who is a devotee of the Lord, he can completely follow dharma. Is this understandable or not? So two main problems. On a material platform, sometimes they will follow dharma, sometimes they won't follow strictly their dharma because they don't have benefit out of it. They will change. And then on a spiritual platform, they don't accept their real position, that they are servants of the Lord, servants of Krishna. That's the main problem, why they are in this situation. Is that okay? Yeah.
Sometimes, some people, the dharma is like irrevocable, like it's destiny. Like Radhanath Swami explained that when he actually first arrived in Mathura, the train, he couldn't get back in the train. So he had no other course of action but to stay in Mathura. Then we see that some people, they want to be in the temple and they never arrive at the temple. And then we see some people who may not have the prerequisite qualification to be in the temple. We see them in the temple.
Well, it shows that maybe our vision is not perfect. So the person who is in the temple, we may think is not qualified. If he make it to the temple, that means he's special. And someone else, we may think he's very, very qualified because maybe we are seeing him from material perspective of qualification. But actually, spiritually, he's still not qualified. He doesn't have enough punya, enough spiritual pious credit so that he can seriously take to Krishna consciousness. Like this famous verse from Bhagavad Gita 7:28. Who can help me? Only those personalities who are acting piously in their previous life and in this life, and their sinful reactions were completely eradicated, only they can take up seriously to devotional service with great determination. Not the other ones. And then acharyas are explaining to this verse that punya karma does not mean material pious activities, it means performing agyata sukriti again and again. So performing devotional service even unknowingly again and again. And then suddenly, okay, he becomes qualified and he is in the temple. Or Krishna decides, okay, he did service to this great devotee, he's qualified now. I'll give him opportunity for devotional service. And someone else, he may be very like learned, erudite, scholar from material perspective, but he never did any service to the Vaishnavas. So he doesn't have actually the punya to start devotional service. He comes to the temple and he just looks and he reads Hare Krishna. He's just about to enter. He's saying, well, you know, I have something more important to do. I'll come later, I'll come tomorrow. And he goes. Doesn't have the permission of the Lord. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Yes, Matish Divyangi.
Thank you so much for that class. You were saying in the beginning how Vaishnavas have this nature that they actually they do more for others rather than for themselves. And I was just thinking, practically, there's so much like encouragement, you know, like to take care of yourself, you have to do better, and Prabhupada said health is first, all these things. But then, how does the points actually come together? Because like, can we actually judge our own advancement by this? If I actually do new things for myself, and most likely I'll choose myself, does it mean that there's not so much advancement? Because if I was a real Vaishnava, then I would think more about others. How can we put these two things together? Like taking care of yourself, think about yourself. I mean, I've heard this thing that, you have to take care of yourself to take care of others. But practically, how can I understand it? Because if I take care of myself, it is this consciousness that, okay, I'm first, rather than someone else. And I was just thinking, if we actually have this consciousness of helping others, like real Vaishnavas, then we would actually help. But, if I choose myself, then I'd rather go and take it out than to do some kind of service that someone asked me to do, or even like talk to someone. Where's the line between this? Or there is no line at all. But once we get to this point where we don't care about ourselves, at all, we just kind of serve others.
Thank you. It's a very nice and deep question. Well, let's first start with the point that we are still not really a Vaishnavas. We are aspiring to become a Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are the great personalities, the acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. That's why they are our guiding light, actually, what means a Vaishnava, how a Vaishnava is acting, how a Vaishnava is dealing with others, what is the compassion of a Vaishnava. All these things actually we can see practically from their life, from their example. And all these things that you mentioned, they are there. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our health. We have to take care of the health of the other Vaishnavas. All this is like part of the our lifestyle in the material world, and also of living in a society of a Vaishnavas. However, if our consciousness is very, very, very elevated, like of those great personalities, at some point, naturally you start thinking much less for yourself, and you think more about Krishna and the other Vaishnavas. And when you do that, naturally Krishna will reciprocate. He will take care of you. Like, for example, if we read about the life of Madhavendra Puri, We don't read that Madhavendra Puri, and then he chanted 4 rounds, and then he said, okay, let me go and make my arrangement for breakfast. And then he chanted another 4 rounds, and then he said, oh, it's almost time for lunch. Let me go and see where will be my lunch today. We don't read this about him. We read that he was going to some place, and he was sitting and he was chanting. And he was so much immersed in love of God that he was totally forgetting about sleeping and about eating. And then Krishna personally had to make arrangements for him just to keep up his material body functioning. That much austerity. So if someone is on this high level of consciousness, naturally he will think more and more about others and more about Krishna. But we cannot imitate this. Rather, we have to be where we are, and just by trying always to be ready to do practical service for other Vaishnavas and for especially our superiors, gradually more and more we will see how we will change, and we will become, because the heart will become softer and softer, and then we will be ready to do more for others and think less about ourselves. Like, for example, in the beginning of our spiritual life, let's say you go for lunch, and the lunch is there, and it's time to take your lunch, but suddenly you see there is a queue of 30 hungry Vaishnavas waiting, and there is nobody to serve them. What will be your thought on the matter? Well, most probably, let me just also go on the queue and someone else will serve. Very often we think like that. But when the heart becomes soft, a devotee will think, wow, it's an amazing opportunity to serve all these Vaishnavas. Oh, but maybe the prasadam will be finished at the end. Well, Krishna will make arrangement. Krishna will make some arrangement. And Krishna will really make arrangement. Why? Because you sacrifice your personal quota for others, Krishna will personally make arrangement for you. But again, this cannot be imitated. This should come gradually with practicing this way of thinking and this way of acting.
Thank you for that answer. So, does it mean that, you know how there are criteria how we can actually see whether we're advancing or not? For example, one of them, they're very certain. Like, for example, if the quality of our japa actually says everything about our spiritual life, and we just have to be honest about it. We can kind of say ourselves, oh yeah, I am chanting good japa. But if it's not good, it's just not good. If it's good, it's good. And this is like one criteria. How can we, assess the judge our own spiritual advancement? And can this also, like this attitude, also can be one of the criteria? Because it's so real, if I don't have a desire to serve, or, at least I do it from my mind, let me just serve. It's maybe a little bit more advancement than if I don't have desire, I don't even try to do it. Can we see it as one of the criteria?
Yes. Like, what is the meaning of the mantra we are chanting every day? What is it? Sharira Vidya, yes, also. Mahamantra. What is the meaning?
My dear Lord, energy of God, please engage me in your loving service.
Engage me in service. Give me service. And then if we chant amazing japa, and then at the end we are not ready to serve, well, that means maybe our japa was not so great. So naturally, if we have a good spiritual life, if we have a proper spiritual practice, the natural outcome will be you are ready to serve. Okay, you may have your limitations, like physical limitations, mind limitations, but the desire to do something will be seen immediately. You are ready. You are ready for service. And if this is not there, that means something is wrong with the practice. So yes, definitely this is a criteria. How much we are selfless and how much we are ready to do something for others. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Grantara Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Krishna, for coming so early to hear something.